Over a year ago, I told my friends and family that I was going to quit my career of 20 plus years in finance and Wall Street and start in education. And they thought I was crazy. And they said, well, does that mean you're going to be a professor or something? I said, well, kind of. But I want to teach hundreds of millions of people or even 1 billion people. So how do we do that? And the only way to do that is to achieve escape velocity in learning, meaning we have to get out of the way that we learn now. So the first thing to the future of learning is to define the word future. So I asked a group of 10-year-olds, my son's class, I said, how far do you think the future is? And he said, the future is 1 second away. I said, brilliant answer, fantastic. And so I got answers from 1 second away to 10 years away, which is a long time for them, right? That's double their lifetime. But for me, when I was growing up, I watched this movie called Back to the Future, right? That was 1985. And they had flying cars. And so flying cars became a reality 30 years later. So to me, in my generation, the future is somewhere 30 to 40 years away, right, in my mind. But for this new generation, the future is 5 to 10 years away, or anywhere from 1 second to 10 years away. We've all heard about the huge change in technology and the exponential changes in technology, and that's brought forward the meaning of the future from 30 to 40 years down to 5 to 10 years. Now, why is that such a profound change? And why is that? And what are the profound implications for that? Okay, so 30 to 40 years means, well, I don't really have to worry about the future, right? Because, by the time the future happens, my kids are all grown up and they can deal with it on their own, and I don't really have to do anything. But when it's 5 to 10 years, that means that I have to get involved right now to change the course of my children's education right now. And they have to change the way that they learn and what they learn, and they can't learn the same thing that I was learning. And so, not only that, but wait a minute, what about myself? If things are going to change in 5 years, what about my industry? What about my company? What about my career? I have to change right now and learn new things, otherwise I will be disrupted and my company will be disrupted. So you have to re-educate the people, yourself and the people in your company, so that they can adapt to this rapid change. So I really like this quote. And learning is what you do to yourself. And this has kind of been my own experience when I immigrated to the US at a very young age. My moonshot goal was to someday be a trader on Wall Street. Now, how was I going to achieve that goal? If I just waited for somebody to educate me on how to be a trader on Wall Street, I'm sorry, they don't teach that in high school. And by the way, they barely teach that at university. I mean, there is some theory there, but in order for you to really learn that, you have to learn it yourself. And so that's what I did. I took it upon myself and I started learning at the age of 13. And every day, I would spend an hour and a half to 2 hours watching CNBC, reading books from the library from Peter Lynch, drawing on the chart books. I did this an hour and a half a day since the age of 13, all the way through high school and college. That's how I attained my goal. That's how I got to Wall Street. So learning how to learn is one of the key things that you have to do now. Because you always have to be learning something new. That wasn't always the case, right? We can have our career for our whole lifetimes before, and we never had to change. We never really had to learn anything new. So think about learning in a new way, just-in-time learning. What does that mean? Now, you can learn and think about learning in hours, weeks, months, rather than months, years, and decades, which is the norm right now, right? When you think about, I have to become an expert in something, that usually takes so long, right? And also, people are bogged down by, oh my God, this university tuition is skyrocketing. How can I afford that? Well, when I put together my own curriculum, it was for free. And guess what? I didn't even have the internet back then. I didn't have a computer and I didn't have the internet, and I was able to learn all on my own. But now, you have YouTube. You have all the online courses. You have MIT and Stanford putting almost all of their classes online for you to learn. So it's really just up to you to be willing to learn. It has nothing to do with cost. It has nothing to do with time. It really has to do with your mindset and whether you can get your mind to accept the fact that things are changing and that you need to learn something new, and you want to learn something new and something that you actually want to do, something that you're really interested in. So one of the things is, how do we change our mindset? And one of the ways I thought of this is, all right, so when you talk to students, and what if we told every student that they are their own startup, and they have to create their own job in order to graduate, or create even more jobs, right? Right now, what students think is, if I'm going to a university and now I've earned this piece of paper called a degree and a diploma, and this now gives me the right to a job that's being provided by the government or being provided by a big company. Let's change that, right? Let's change it so that every student thinks, hey, let's create our own job, because that will solve the youth unemployment problem, right? Because 15% of Google employees have no college degree. These are the guys who have already figured this out. They've already achieved the escape velocity in learning, right? They've already gotten out of that cycle of thinking that education has to happen to them, that they can't go out and achieve that. So in order to be a disruptor and not the disrupted, because you could be one of the 2 billion people estimated to lose their jobs because of technological unemployment, right? So you have to be able to keep up with the learning and the technology. Because 70% of you will likely have a career that's not even been invented yet in the next 5 to 10 years. So you have to get used to learning new things. So these are the problems that I'm trying to solve at EXLhub. EXLhub is a new online learning technology, and we are able to personalize your learning to your level and at your speed. We've created an interactive and intelligent platform that actually allows you to learn interactively and corrects you as you're working. So it's like having a great teacher standing right over your shoulder. And we've made all this intelligence scalable so that it's all on the cloud and it can be used right on a $150 Chromebook or Windows 10s. Because why is that so important? Because you have people working on a giant problem, the internet for everyone. We have 3 huge companies working on this, and that means that within the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to have 3 billion more people online on the internet economy. And that means that they're all going to have to learn new things. And how are you going to teach billions of people? How are you going to teach those 3 billion people plus the 2 billion people that have been displaced by technology? The only way to do it is to change your own mindset, to take ownership of learning, to be more entrepreneurial minded, and to use technology. Because we could never hire that many more teachers. 100 million teachers? How can we hire that many more teachers? And we can never have enough money to build that many schools. The only way to do it is to change the way that you learn, change your mindset, and through exponential learning technologies. Thank you very much.